So something nightly is coming this way to Warhammer 40k for Adepticon previews? I think there's a very strong chance that Imperial Knights are our next codex to see release. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today we're talking about a little teaser that Games Workshop has posted on their Warhammer community site, where they've basically given us a very strong hint that the next codex will be Imperial Knights, and they're going to be announcing it on Wednesday night / Thursday morning, depending on where you live in the world. Basically, the other day they confirmed that they are doing an Adepticon preview show, the normal kind of affairs that they tend to do for tournaments, where they basically reveal a whole bunch of models to the people who have come to one of their big events, and there's usually a fair bit of good stuff in there for Warhammer 40k and their various other gaming systems. I don't think that there's necessarily any big guarantees that Warhammer 40k is getting a whole ton of reveals at this. They often give each one of their gaming systems at least something minor. Something like announcing an Imperial Knight Codex really would fit the bill for this sort of event, I think. So let's talk through their teaser, the state of Imperial Knights in 9th, and what a codex might potentially offer to both the Imperial ones and the Chaos Knights. So basically the teaser that they posted for Imperial Knights really is quite a brief one. It's a very short article on Warhammer Community and a very brief video, basically showing the preview sending out an invitation to a ritual of becoming for the Imperial Knights to go to war against the forces of Chaos. The fact that it's actually got the proper Warhammer 40k logo in the start of the video does imply that it's likely to be for Warhammer 40k, not just for Adeptus Titanicus, which of course is another way where they could release some mini-knight models. I really struggle to see what this could be besides a codex release. It doesn't really seem like they're hinting that this is going to be a big model reveal, otherwise I think they would have been talking a bit more about the details of one given knight, as opposed to a bit more of a general Imperial Knight lore, though totally not saying that we couldn't get both. For the video itself, it's basically a short excerpt saying that House Dufresne invites you to a ritual of becoming, and the invitation is to Imperial citizens, so everything just looks a little bit fiery and bleak. The invitation does say that they're going to be crusading against the forces of chaos, which might be an explanation for that. In the lore, a ritual of becoming is basically the ceremony where nobles take control of their imperial knights, bonding themselves with the thrones that they command from, in a fusion of both their will and the machine spirit of the knights. House Dufresne aren't exactly a particularly well-known imperial knight house. They're notable for being a force of imperial knights, active in the Indomitus era and the era of the Great Rift. They have seen some previous action against the Orcs, but they're not one of the main ones that you can choose from in the Codex's options at the moment. In any case, it's going to be interesting to see what comes for them from Adepticon. From the teaser, this really does seem pretty heavily aimed at Imperial Knights, and it seems to be setting up Chaos as the antagonist rather than the main focus here. The teaser article says that portents of Chaos are popping up across the Imperium, and the invitation says that they're crusading against them. Typically it's something that the Imperium is likely to want to do, but kind of unclear at this point as to whether or not it'll be a dual release for both the nightly codexes, or they could even be hinting that Knights are going to be next, and then maybe we'll see some Chaos Space Marines after that. Certainly the Chaos players have waited long enough. In any case, Knights are certainly one of the armies that could do with a codex in 9th edition. Rules-wise on the board, they started out really super weak, to be honest. The 9th edition missions and terrain rules really screwed them over at the start of the edition. They didn't get on well with primary missions, not having OBSEC and counting as one model, and they didn't get on well with secondary objectives either, having really easy ones that they gave up, like the Titan Hunter one, and just plain not being able to do really quite a lot of the others. Perhaps if they had enough raw strength on their individual models, then they might be able to overcome that, but that didn't really seem to be the case, and certainly the trend in 9th edition has been for more and stronger anti-tank weapons, which isn't exactly favourable of an army made up entirely of vehicles. As the edition has gone on for them though, it has largely been positive news. Arguably the biggest change for them actually winning games has been the mission changes. Certain objectives were toned down quite a bit, such as Titan Hunter. That one's now a bit more of a risky bet, even if you are facing 3 super heavies, you're kind of gambling on tabling the knights. And perhaps more importantly, all the rules for knights interacting with primary objectives, Armiger knights getting OBSEC and counting as 5 models, and the big knights counting as 10, so even they are going to be hard to rest the objectives against, unless you have got loads of OBSEC in your army. The Armiger Warglaves and Helverins also got a points drop. The Imperial Armour Compendium gave some decent knightly tools such as Warglaves or the Questor Magera, and at least the Imperial Knights got some fairly nice supplemental rules, a decent way to play in the Free Blade Lance, and the House Raven supplement added a whole ton of stratagems and things if you did choose to play that sub-faction. As a result, I'd generally rank Knights as sort of low mid-tier at the moment, capable of at least putting up a fair bit of resistance against other mid-tier armies, but seeming pretty likely to lose very hard against some of the strongest armies in the game. Out of the two, I'd rank the Imperial Knight as stronger than their Chaos kin right now. Access to the supplements helps a bit. Plus, I feel the Loyalists are maybe very slightly ahead on certain faction rules. The sum total of things like House Crast and very good weapons and warlord traits outweigh most of the things that the Heretics have to offer in my opinion, even though they have some very nice rules, particularly their Infernal and Iconoclast devotions. In any case, they certainly don't seem like a bad choice for a revamped codex, though I'd argue probably not quite as in need as certain other armies, like Guard or Chaos Space Marines. In terms of what to expect from a new codex, there's going to be really quite a lot added as per standard for the 9th edition rules. Interestingly, I think that the unique secondary objectives might be a really helpful addition to the codex. Knights just play very differently to most of the other armies, so a lot of the more generic ones just aren't very relevant to them. Giving a few tailored options could actually be really handy. It seems normal for 9th edition codexes to have a points cost upgrade of some sort. Could be another way of stacking yet more abilities on one already very scary knight. They're likely to get some sort of pure army advantage, a rules buff for not including any allies along. They do already have their objective secured type thing. I feel that that might well be added to by certain other rules. Otherwise, I think both the Loyalist and the Chaos ones could maybe do with a bit of a revamp of their household rules. At the moment, they just don't really seem very balanced, some households getting far more stuff than others. And just in general for 9th edition rules, they do tend to come with a really massive power buff. It's hard to imagine a slightly lower tier army coming away with a new codex and not being a lot better and more viable. Often in 9th edition, new codexes generally mean new models. So far we know that something is going to be coming for the Chaos Knights, judged by those brief previews at the start of the year. It looks like a new Questor version for the Chaos Knights, probably just going to have some various different options in terms of the weapons and things. I really wouldn't be too surprised if the Imperials got something as well though. Aside from the Space Marine Codex supplement books, things like Blood Angels or Space Wolves, every single major codex has got a new model to go alongside it so far. I really wouldn't be too surprised if we see something new for the Knights, even if it's just a minor change to a kit. I have thought that there's other ways that they could take the faction. I feel one idea for a minor release that they could do would be giving things like Imperial Knights something like a model to represent their nobles getting out of the Knight after it's died, in a similar way to Canis Rex. That's really quite a fun little rule. Could be good to add some really characterful personalizations to the models, as well as a few interesting things that they could do in game. Finally, the other potential is that we might see a return of something like Imperial Knight Renegade. That's the dual kit where you got some slimmed down options on a standard Questoris version, but you got both knights for a really quite massive discount compared with buying them separately, and that was a very popular kit for anyone who wanted to add a super heavy walker to their army. I feel like that would be very well received if they did bring that back. Imperial and Chaos Knights just really are quite a fun centerpiece to paint up, even if you don't necessarily collect the faction and you just want to use them as a single random allied knight to add a different way to field your army. In any case, it's going to be really interesting to see what they come out with for Adepticon. I'll certainly cover it on the channel myself, so feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see that. My guess will be that they'll announce both the Imperial and Chaos Knights at the same time, maybe alongside a model preview, though I guess it's not impossible that we might have the Chaos Knights delayed behind them. In any case, let me know what you think down in the comments. Would you knightly commanders out there be looking forward to a new codex release? And what are your hopes and fears for the faction? Let me know what you have to say down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video and you'd like to keep up with 40k news and things, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I'll certainly be covering the Adepticon previews in a similar style, and I'll fully review any models, rules, and the full codexes as soon as we hear any news. Finally, if you have enjoyed all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.